The air that morning in Mississippi felt wrong. Not hotter than usual, not stormy, just heavy. The kind of heavy that presses against your lungs when something bad is about to happen, even if no one has said a word yet. You could hear the boots before you could see the men wearing them. Slow, measured, each step sinking into the dirt like it owned the ground, and in a way, it did. Imagine standing at the edge of a cotton field just after sunrise. The mist hasn't lifted yet. It hangs low, pale and damp, wrapping itself around ankles and broken fence posts. Dew clings to the cotton leaves, soaking through threadbare trousers, chilling skin that's already tired. Somewhere close, a chain rattles softly as a man shifts his weight. Not loud. Just enough to remind everyone it's there. No one is speaking. No one needs to, because everyone already knows what kind of day this is. You see, this wasn't new. Not really. On this Mississippi plantation, there were patterns, and one of them was the master's habit of choosing a fight. Not a fair one. Never a fair one. When work slowed, when his temper rose, when boredom crept in like an itch he couldn't scratch. Sometimes he didn't even need a reason. He liked to fight a slave. Bare hands, no rules, no weapons, just pain turned into entertainment. And he always chose the weakest one. Not the loud ones, not the strong-backed men who could lift bales like they were nothing. No, he chose the narrow-shouldered, the limping, the quiet ones who kept their eyes down, the ones whose dies already looked defeated. Because the point wasn't to test strength. The point was to prove ownership. That strength didn't matter. Dignity didn't matter. Courage didn't matter. Only power did. But that morning, he chose wrong. Before we get there, you need to understand the man he pointed at. Because history doesn't change through giants most of the time. It changes through people no on. He expects anything from. His name was Elijah. Most people called him Eli. Names on plantations had a way of shrinking, flattening, losing their weight. Eli wasn't tall. He wasn't broad. His back curved slightly forward from years bent over cotton rows. His left hand never fully closed, fingers stiff and crooked from an old injury when a wagon wheel slipped and crushed it. No doctor, no rest, just tea time and pain doing whatever they wanted. To the master, Eli looked perfect, weak, broken, safe. But there was something about Eli that didn't show at first glance. You see, Eli listened. He listened when older men whispered at night about places they'd never see again. About wide rivers in Africa that swallowed the horizon, about kings who wore gold and warriors who fought with pride instead of fear. Eli didn't interrupt. He didn't ask questions. He just listened. He listened when women hummed while mending clothes, soft songs, gentle melodies. But if you listened closely, there was sorrow underneath. Loss folded into every note. He listened when someone cried quietly in the dark, thinking no one could hear them. And in all that listening, something formed inside him. Not rage, not hatred, something quieter, something steadier. Eli remembered being a boy once, barefoot, running down red clay paths, laughing without thinking about tomorrow. He remembered his mother's hands, rough from work, warm from love, pulling him close and whispering, no matter what they take from you, keep your inside strong. That sentence stayed. It stayed when she was sold away and disappeared down a road he never saw again. It stayed when nights stretched long and empty. It stayed when his body weakened, but his days didn't get shorter. Now here's where things start to shift. The master didn't wake up that morning just wanting blood. Something had gone wrong the night before. A rumor drifted through the plantation. The way smoke does. Thin, shapeless, impossible to grab. Someone had talked back. Someone had refused an order. Someone had held the master's gaze for one heartbeat too long. He didn't know who it was, and not knowing made him furious, so he decided to remind everyone, publicly. Men and women were pulled from their work and lined up near the barn. Children clung to their mother's skirts, fingers gripping fabric like it might disappear. The overseer stood off to the side, arms crossed. He wore the face of a man who told himself this wasn't his doing, even though it was. The master stepped forward. He smiled, not wide, not joyful, that thin, tight smile that meant pain was coming. His eyes moved slowly across the line, and then they stopped. On Eli. You, he said, pointing. Come here. Eli felt the world narrow. Sounds dulled. The sky seemed farther away. His heartbeat filled his ears, loud enough to drown out everything else. He could feel eyes on his back as he stepped forward. Heavy, helpless eyes. Someone whispered his name. Someone else whispered a prayer. Eli didn't look back. He stood in front of the master, close enough to smell tobacco on his breath. "You look tired," the master said, almost kindly. "Weak. Thought we'd wake you up." A few men laughed, nervous laughter. Not because it was funny, because silence could be dangerous. The master rolled up his sleeves. "Defend yourself." Normally, this is where it ended. A punch, a kick, blood on dirt, lesson learned. But something didn't happen the way it always did. The master swung first, wide, careless, confident. A punch meant to land clean and end it fast. Eli moved, not fast, not flashy, just enough. The fist grazed his shoulder instead of his face. There was a pause, just 1 second, long enough for confusion to flicker across the master's eyes. He swung again. This time Eli raised his arm. His bad hand trembled, fingers stiff, pain screaming through bone. But it held. The blow landed. His body rocked. Dust lifted around his feet. He staggered, but he didn't fall. The crowd went silent. You have to understand something here. Eli wasn't trained. He wasn't strong in the way fighters are strong. But why? Years of carrying weight, years of pain, years of holding himself together had taught his body something important. How to stay upright. The master snarled and came in closer now. Faster punches, angrier punches, sloppy punches fueled by wounded pride. Eli backed up, step by step, feeling the dirt beneath his feet, remembering the rhythm of the fields, the way you shift without thinking to avoid. Sharp stems and broken ground. And then, it happened. The master tripped. Just a little. His boot caught a rock. His balance broke for half a second. Eli didn't plan it. He didn't think. His body moved before fear could stop it. He pushed. Not hard. Just enough. The master stumbled backward and fell. For a heartbeat, the world froze. A white man on the ground, a slave standing over him. That had never happened before. The master scrambled up, face red, eyes wild. He charged. This time, Eli didn't move back. He stood. The punch landed hard against his ribs. Pain exploded through his side, white-hot and blinding. But Eli stayed upright. He wrapped his arms around the master, not to strike, not to harm, but to stop, to hold, to end it. The master cursed, thrashed, tried to break free. And in that moment, something shifted. The crowd didn't see victory. They saw resistance. They saw that the master was not untouchable. The overseer stepped forward, shouting. Guns came up. Whips tightened in hands. Eli let go. He stepped back and dropped to his knees. Silence crashed down again, heavier than before. The master stood chest heaving, staring at Eli like he was seeing him for the first time. Not as property, not as weak, as a problem. Eli was beaten later, badly, quietly, the kind of punishment meant to erase memory, to warn without witnesses, but something couldn't be erased. That night, Eli lay on a dirt floor barely conscious. Someone placed a cup of water beside his hand. Someone whispered, "You stow." "OD," a woman hummed softly nearby, the same song she used to calm crying children. Across the plantation, people lay awake, thinking. The chains were still there. The work continued the next morning. But inside, something had cracked. The master never chose Eli again. He stopped choosing anyone, not because he found mercy. Because fear slipped in where certainty used to live, Eli didn't. Become a hero. He wasn't freed. He wasn't celebrated. He lived, he worked, he listened. And years later, when younger boys whispered, "Is it true?" Eli would nod once and say, "They're not made of iron." Because sometimes history doesn't change with loud victories. Sometimes it changes when the weakest man in the line stands 1 second longer than expected. And sometimes, one moment is enough to change the way people see forever.